My name is Mark Schultz, and I believe I am the last man in the world. Now, I'm making this message for myself, but God willing, someone will survive this mess, and I'm not the only one here. So this is what happened, and you listen well, and you remember. It's 20 years after the bombs fell. And back before, I was a preacher. But when those bombs fell, and all my family, and my friends, and my congregation, and damn the whole world, when they all died, well, I put my faith aside. And I thought if I could just survive, if I could just live long enough to find someone to do some good, maybe it'd be worth it. Maybe there's a reason I came through this. Maybe there's a reason I made it and no one else did. Well, it's been hell. Survivors are monsters, and they raid and they pillage and they murder, and there's some good ones out there, but not enough. And now there's none. No one. And it ain't because of the bombs, it's because of what the bombs caused. Something no one knew would happen, something no one foresaw. Now, I've lived in this hell 20 years, and I've seen monsters. I know the parallels. I read the book, Revelations. Well, John wrote in that book, he said, in the end times there'd be demons walking the earth. Giant locusts feasting on the flesh of man, and monsters with scorpion stingers. And I've seen it all. Every last one of them with my own eyes. But that ain't nothing. That ain't nothing compared to what's been happening. Now, it started with an earthquake. And everyone felt it. Hell, the whole world might have felt it. And the ground was torn apart like paper. And up from it came these bats, these giant monsters. And dozens and hundreds and maybe thousands of them. And they flew up in the sky and blocked it out. You couldn't see anything. You couldn't see the sun. There were that many of them. And they got to work. They did their devil's will. And they flew all over this country, spraying out acid, this toxic goo, this green fog, and it filled the air. And when it hit the ground, it stuck to the ground and it stayed there. And anyone that survived this long, families, raiders, the responders, those men in the power armor, well, they all died. Whatever they went through in the past 20 years didn't mean shit now. Not against this. And people, they hid in their houses and they locked their doors, but it didn't matter. Because the gas would work its way under your door and in between your windowsill, and he'd find you while you were sleeping. Now, like I said, it's been 20 years since the bomb fell. There's no stockpiles left. Everyone has to go out and they gotta hunt for the food, or they gotta raid for it, or they gotta do what they gotta do, but there sure as shit ain't a stockpile. No one was ready for this. So even if you were lucky enough to have a bunker, you didn't have food in it. Not enough. So eventually you'd have to go outside. And that gas would be waiting for you, and you'd die just like everyone else. That's why I say I think I'm the last one. I don't know if there's a rhyme or a reason to it, but I don't know how anyone else could have survived. And those monsters are still out there. And I think if I'm gonna go, I think I'd rather do it myself than choke on that poison in that gas. And I know. If I was a preacher, maybe that sounds hypocritical. Maybe that's the last thing I ought to do, but I think it's time. I mean, I've lived in hell. Where could God send me? Would he send me down there? Into the depths, into hell? Well, I remember reading in a book one time this man. He said, hell is empty. All the demons are already here. And they are.